Hello. It should be me now. You should be able to hear me. Hello, I'm here. Great. I love it when the stream works. It makes everything better. All right. I don't need to hear myself. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bag of Giving presents Boy Problems, the Carly Rae Jepsen RPG created by Colin Cummings. I'm very hyped for this game. I've been excited about this game since I first heard about it like 2 or 3 years ago. It had a fun media cycle. People were like, Carly Rae Jepsen role-playing game. Isn't that cool? And the answer is yes, it is cool. We are supporting Max Ottawa and TENT, or Trans Education Network of Texas, this month. And we have 2 great giveaways that I'll tell you about in just a moment. For folks who are new to Bag of Giving, I'm just going to give kind of a quick overview, and then I will invite our lovely players to introduce themselves. We have one more player coming who has been constrained by real life, so when they arrive, I will do some stream magic, and you'll be able to see all of our wonderful players, and we will proceed from there. So if you don't know me, I'm Michael R. Underwood. I'm an author, podcaster, and co-host of Speculate, which is another show that Arvin Elleron hosts here on this Twitch channel. Bag of Giving is a charity actual play series created by Brandon Crilly and myself. Bag of Giving came together with 2 specific goals in mind. We wanted to bring together fellow creatives to have some fun, hang out, put a bit of good into the world, and on the having fun side, it's been really, really cool to see how amazing and overflowing the excitement and response from our colleagues has been to be involved, and the creativity that people have brought, along with generosity of their time and, book giveaways and all sorts of wonderful things. We've been doing this for coming up on 6 months now, I think, maybe 7. And it's very cool. And we get to showcase some games that we want to show some love, like Boy Problems. This slot was originally scheduled to be Philosopher's Cave, which was a 5e adventure GM'd by Ada Palmer. Life circumstances prevented Ada from being able to do that for us. Hopefully we'll get to reschedule. Keep an eye on bagofgiving.com if we are able to do that. Otherwise, I am here to be your humble stage manager in guiding these cyberpop criminals through a exciting heist in a neon cyberpunk future. So, as I mentioned, we are supporting Max Ottawa and TENT. I'm going to talk a little bit about each of these groups so you know who we're supporting, and then I'm going to give you some information on how you can enter our cool giveaways should you be in a position to make a donation to one of those groups or to another group of your choice, if you're so inclined. Max Ottawa provides mental and physical health services, harm reduction supplies, and more, as well as community support and other education programs by and for guys into guys in the Ottawa region. You can find more about that group at maxottawa.ca, and I'm going to put that link into the chat as well. We are also supporting the Transgender Education Network of Texas. TENT is an organization dedicated to furthering gender diverse equality in Texas. They say, we work to accomplish this through education and networking in both public and private forums. Through our efforts, we strive to halt discrimination through social, legislative, and corporate education. You can find out more about TENT at transtexas.org. That is also in the chat there. So, these are 2 different organizations. If you are in a position to be able to donate, we would love to have your support for these organizations. All of this is money going directly to the organizations. We don't even collect money and then distribute it. We're just inviting you to donate directly. What you can then do is you pick a charity, donate what you can through their website or some other form that they have. Take a screenshot of your proof of donation. Please do not dox yourself. We don't need your address. We don't need your credit card number. We just need the organization and the amount that you've donated. You can email it to us at contact@bagofgiving.com. And for every $5 Canadian or equivalent in whatever your currency is, you will get 1 entry into our giveaways. We have some lovely prizes, one donated by a participating player, and one by another past player. So this month, if you donate, you get the chance to win one of 2 different short story critiques, one offered by our current player, Nebula Award finalist, games writer, and author Phoebe Barton, and the other offered by, just as of last night, newly Nebula Award-winning writer Primi Mohammed, which is very exciting. I'm super hyped for Primi and all of the other winners. It's fun to be able to do stuff in a weekend when there are specific fun things to point to in the genre, though with any convention there are some other things. But we're going to focus on the fun stuff. For the Premi's critique, you can send up to a 5,000 word maximum single short story, some excerpt of a novel, or multiple very short pieces in science fiction, fantasy, or horror. And Premi's turnaround will be about 2 weeks if you are the winner. And for Phoebe's critique, she's asked for a 7,000 word maximum, similar kinds of arrangement, science fiction or fantasy. Turnaround will be about 10 days. And so for either of those, you can go to the Bag of Giving website, enter there. I think we have a command bag giveaway. Great, that's just in the chat. Thank you very much to the excellent mod team that we have here at twitch.tv/ArvinEleron for your lovely support as we do this. It means I have to type fewer things, and that's great. So that is all of that. You know why we're here, what we're doing, and how you can get cool stuff by doing good. And now I would invite our lovely players to introduce themselves, and I'm just going to give them an order in the Zoom so they know when I will be calling on them instead of being surprised. So I will first invite CJ Linton to give us an introduction.
Yeah, I'm CJ Linton. I am a game designer, writer, and dramaturg. Most recently, I was co-creator of the tabletop role-playing game Tomorrow on Revelation 3 with Dominic Dickey, which is about surviving anti-capitalism on a futuristic space station. And our next upcoming game is called Plant Girl Game, and there will be more information about that soon.
Excellent. Phoebe.
Hi, I'm Phoebe Barton. I'm a queer trans writer of prose and games, and the dice I brought are, I think, very appropriately colored for this thing, except this is purple. I don't know why it's showing up as blue in this light.
Perhaps the die is the one that has a secret agenda. Okay, great. And Dave.
Yes, hi, I'm Dave Robison. I am a voice actor. I am a serial entrepreneur of such things as Corpse Coffee and Archivos, the story development app. A creative dilettante, one-time host and creator of the Roundtable podcast. And generally just really excited to explore this sparkly role-playing game.
Excellent. And we have one more player who will be joining us, and when they do so, I will invite them to introduce themselves as I'm doing my stream magic. Tiny bit more about me. I co-host Speculate, which is another actual play series on this channel. We are starting a game of Court of Blades by a couple of Drakes on June 17th. The cast for that is Primi Mohammed, Marie Bilodeau, as well as my co-hosts Brandon O'Brien and Gregory A. Wilson, and I will be your humble dancing master in that game, which is a label that one of the co-designers put on a promo piece that they gave us, and I'm going to use forever because it's cool.
And uniquely appropriate for you.
It's true. I have in fact been a tango teacher. My next book is also my first book. I'm reissuing this Geekomancy series, which was my debut, with the first book coming back out on June the 7th, which is very soon now. And the rest of the series will follow throughout the summer into the fall, and that is very cool. Otherwise, I think I have vamped a fair bit, so we will introduce kind of some of the scenario and maybe a couple of our characters, and then we may have to do a little bit of recap so that all of our players are read in. So I'm going to hop over to my prep page instead of the Bag of Giving script page, and I'm going to go over here so I can read y'all the kind of universe breakdown. It is many years into the future. A wealthy and powerful person has claimed a rare and much sought after prize, the vault of 200 unreleased, and this is real, songs from renowned Canadian pop sensation Carly Rae Jepsen. Jepsen is apparently just like a songwriting machine, and so there's a whole chunk of songs that are recorded and just nobody has heard them. And so the conceit of this game by Colin Cummings is that this becomes the loot for a cyberpunk heist. Hired by an anonymous sponsor, your team of highly trained individuals will raid a well-defended location to retrieve said item. So this is the bit. Boy Problems is a hack of Lasers and Feelings, which is a game by John Harper based on a song by the Double Clicks. So this is several layers of geekdom deep. And I want to give you some information where you can find more about Boy Problems as a game. You can do that at boyproblems.itch.io, where you can pick up Boy Problems, or you can pick it up the game and an expansion. And then this designer has a bunch of other stuff there. So go and check out Colin's work if you are so inclined, or if this game is fun and you want to play it with your friends. I'm going to double check these commands real quick. Thank you, Rudenel, for asking. Okay, those look good to me. Thank you very much, Rudenel, and everybody who is modding for us here. Cool. So the specifics that you all as a team will have is that the vault has come into the possession of Thomas T.L. Longinus, a media mogul / CEO of basically the future descendant of Universal Media, Universal like music and media group. So this is 60-something years in the future, great, even more intense corporate consolidation, and this kind of new company, Longinus Media, has a monopoly on popular music around the world. So if anything is playing music, it has to be playing music from a Longinus Media license. If you imagine how Clear Channel radio works in the USA, imagine if it were 100 times worse and run by just one very arrogant, shitty CEO who thinks he's amazing. And that's where we are. So this group has been assembled by a benefactor who perhaps we will reveal their identity, perhaps somebody who's involved wishes to reveal their identity. And what we should do, yeah, UMG as a acronym, just it doesn't work for me. So I'm going to invite the players to give us introductions to their characters, and we'll talk a little bit about these characters, how they might know each other, and then when we're all assembled, we will I will hand the reins over to them to decide whether they want to open with kind of a planning sequence or if they want to cut to the action. So let us reverse the order of introductions for the characters. So Dave, do you want to tell us about your heist criminal?
I would love nothing more to do exactly that. Let me just go find his background. Wait, where is he? I got him. Here he is. Okay. Yes, I would love to. I would love to introduce y'all to Sebastian Dane. He goes by Bastion. He's a charismatic drifter. And basically, he used to work for Longinus. He was his backstage arranger, doing the shady connections, getting the media mogul hose beast connected to the people, the places, the pleasures, and the events that he lusted after. And yeah, sure, you know, Bastion may have skimmed a little bit off the top, and yeah, he may have used his prestigious positioning to cultivate a few side hustles on his own, but really, that certainly didn't warrant Longinus throwing Bastion out of a 5-story window. That was just a little bit over the top in Bastion's estimation. Miraculously, he survived, but required a great deal of plastic surgery to become the charming, charismatic fellow that he is. And now he has it in for Longinus and is willing to make him hurt in any way possible.
Okay. And so characters in Boy Problems have just a very small number of stats and like mechanical characteristics. So your character has a style, a role, and then they have a number. So Lasers and Feelings uses this this is where the system comes from. And so there's basically lasers and feelings. So it's a dichotomy. All actions you are accomplished by either utilizing lasers or feelings. In this game, we have swords, which is technology, science, cold rationality, calm, precise action mechanisms. And a low number means that you're better at instead emotions. Emotions. This is important because it's a Carly Rae Jepsen bit. So if your number is low, then you're good at intuition, diplomacy, seduction, wild, passionate action, or convincing people. So Dave, do you want to walk us through your style, your role, and your number?
Certainly. Sebastian's style is charismatic. So he's going to tend to flash a winning smile, cultivate heart connections, try and get under the skin or into the heads of his particular targets, whoever they may be. He is a grifter, so he's going to work an angle. He's going to try and leverage, see what I did there, some intriguing possibilities in terms of blackmail, in terms of deception, false leads, distraction, in order to achieve what he's trying to get to. And then his stat is actually a 3. He's going to work on the emotion side. He tends to be very, very much a heart person, reaching out and connecting to people on an emotional level. He leaves the high-tech gizmoid stuff to the technocrats, and he's only happy to do that.
Very cool. Phoebe, would you like to introduce us to your character?
All right. Now, okay, yeah, it was right in front of me. Yeah, I am running, character I am running is Curie, short for Curiosity. And Curie is in this because she is a real believer in openness and equality of information. All songs want to be free. These tracks specifically should already be in the public domain. People have a right to be able to hear them, have a right to be able to hear a lot of things specifically, but these ones in the vault are ones that can be done something about very particularly and very directly. So, because sometimes you just gotta focus on what you can do, and that's a really important thing.
All right. We have Irene with us. Welcome, Irene.
Hi, thanks for having me. Sorry I was running late.
Yeah, no worries. Life happens. Would you be okay introducing yourself to the stream, kind of who you are, what you do? We got started on character introductions, but we can do some recaps.
Cool. I heard the end of Phoebe's, and I'm very excited for this game. But yes, I am. I'm Irene. I'm based in Australia, but I happen to be friends with a few Canlit people, and I work as a composer for the Shell Project, which is a indie world-building initiative based in Canada. I'm a singer-songwriter and also a composer, and that's who I am.
Okay, lovely, thank you. So, pardon me, y'all, for just another moment while I get the videos moved around. It's the way that we capture Zoom is vulnerable to being disrupted by new people joining the Zoom. So yeah, that's why things are not lined up.
I've edited a video before where like someone enters the Zoom and then everything's like shuffled out of place. So
yeah.
I understand.
Let's see, can I?
it's 9:30 a.m. where I am, so I'm still drinking coffee, and I'll be muting myself, but I might be nibbling away at some breakfast.
No worries.
And what is the breakfast fare down under, Irene?
Well, what's the typical breakfast? Well, yesterday was our election day, and the typical meal for election day is a barbecued sausage with a piece of white toast around it. They hand them out.
The political commentary of some kind?
It's more that like at every polling place they offer them out as a like, you made it, thanks for making it. It's compulsory.
Here's a sausage, enjoy. Just the fact that there's traditional election day food
Yeah,
is appealing.
If you look up at the hashtag of like hashtag polling on Twitter, there's a little icon of a sausage in the middle of a piece of white bread. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So are you having leftover election day food for breakfast?
I worked at the polling place, so I had to make a lot of meals, and it's going to look funky, so don't judge. But this is yogurt and like oats and fruit, and it's very healthy.
I was going to say it looks very healthy. Yes.
Yeah, it looks really dubious because it's got like matcha in it, so it's kind of like brown looking, but it's yummy, and it's got maple syrup in it.
Okay. The overlay should now be the actual people that we have in the actual arrangement. Thank you all for vamping for us. And that is that. Phoebe, I'm very sorry. Several things happened. Did you get to finish your character introduction?
No, I didn't give the rest of the details.
Okay.
So, Curie is... actually, hang on. Just need to bring up the style is dexterous. Her role is the driver. And a 4. So, much more swords than emotions, because when you're the driver, like what things you're driving generally don't respond as much to emotions rather than a good swift kick at the worst, or whatever else will make them start working again.
Okay. Irene, are you able to boost your microphone gain at all? Okay,
How is this sounding?
We had a note that you were very soft.
Oh no.
You definitely sound clearer to me now.
Okay.
Hopefully folks in chat will be able to let us know.
Cool.
That is lovely. Thank you, Irene.
Okay.
And thank you, Phoebe, for giving us that. Well, let's have CJ introduce his character, and then I'll have Dave give a quick recap so that Irene gets a refresher there. We talked some in email ahead of time, but we'll make it all easy for everybody, and then we'll start talking about some of the details of the heist. CJ, take it away.
Sure. My character is Jocelyn Strand, or Joe. He has a PhD in art history with a focus on music preservation. And he works at Longinus's gallery, the Zero G Art Gallery, because it was the only job available after he finished his PhD. And if you thought he didn't believe in academia when he graduated, he really doesn't believe in academia now. He is the inside man. His style is brooding, and Curie might be pretty swords. Jocelyn is really swords. His roll number is 5. He does love music and music history and all of that, but his capacity to share his passion for that with other people in a way that is not intimidating is low. And he got involved with the rest of the group because the more disillusioned he became with the Zero G Art Gallery, the more sort of feelers he started putting out for figuring out, like, how do we make this less terrible? And he encountered this group.
Excellent. Irene, would you like to introduce your character to everybody?
Yeah, I still have some details that I'm trying to iron out, but I would love any input. So I'm playing a character whose name is Call Me Maybe, and they were named after the hit single Call Me Maybe. And, you know, true stans of Carly Rae Jepsen, loved her ever since that song came out, and didn't stop loving her. So they go by Maybe, or May, for short, and they have a personal stake in retrieving this vault of songs because the AI that raised them is also locked up in there. I think I chose to be a fixer, in that really, like, that archetype in heists where the fix is very like, oh yeah, I can fix that, and it's like, are you sure you can? No, I can fix that and add like jetpacks and make it explode if you wanted to. And it's like, we don't, okay. And I was struggling with choosing a number because I think May is really good with being a mechanic and everything, but they're also very like impulsive and emotional, and maybe emotion is the way I should lean. So
yeah, I think if you're,
it kind of depends on how everyone else.
So we have a 3, a 4, and a 5. So there's a pretty good spread. If you wanted to be super emotion, you could take a 2, and then we'd have that spread there. But I think having a 3 or a 4 is going to put you kind of in that middle ground where you have some flexibility, but you don't have as much consistency in either.
I think it could be fun to play someone who is a 2 and to like push in that direction. So I think I will be a 2, and I don't think I had a label for like an adjective. I guess I could choose. What did I choose? It was hotshot, I think.
Cool.
We're flirting with dangerous too, as I recall.
Oh yeah, we were flirting dangerous because they're pretty dangerous to have around. But yeah, I'll put like hotshot in quotations. Fixer. Yeah.
All right. And Dave, if you could give us a quick recap on Bastien.
Sure. Yes, Bastion, also known as Sebastian Dane, a charismatic grifter with a score of 3. Used to be Longinus's backstage connector hookup to all things vice and shady and questionable, and did very well for himself. Now, yes, he did skim some off the top. Yes, he did use his position to leverage in some side hustles and make his own coin. He certainly didn't feel that it warranted Longinus throwing him out of a 5-story window. Miraculously, he survived, required a great deal of plastic surgery in order to become the charming rogue that he is, has been forced to become a grifter, working and nipping at the edges of Longinus's mega empire of media, and is chomping at the bit for a bit of payback.
Awesome. So that leads us into what I'd like to do first, kind of now that we know these characters a little bit, is put the ball in the court of the players for them to talk through what degree they think their characters have, like, some history with one another, and whether they think that they were individually recruited by this mysterious benefactor, or do you think one of you was approached first and then you went to the others? Like, how does this gang assemble, and what's their history?
I feel like based on May's backstory, it might be them that was approached first, and then maybe they went about building a team. I don't know, Irene, if you're okay with us putting that on May.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, CJ. Yeah, I think because May has such a personal stake in it. Like they're like, I want my mom back, and they were always very, I think, very flashy about it, and probably, I think Dave, you, in back channels in our emails, you mentioned an idea of like May potentially have like tried legal justice, and like I'm thinking it might be something that was televised, like it was like local mechanic sues company to get their mom back.
Yeah, exactly. Great journalistic narrative there. They jump all over that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's it was, I think it was pretty publicized, and yeah, this mysterious benefactor reaching out to May first seems to make sense. And yeah, and I think with Bastion, how how much cover up was involved in the incident afterwards?
For him after being thrown out the window, I think that was very back door, hush hush. Nobody even knew about it.
Yeah.
Because he operated in the shadows while he was working with London's. I think definitely Bastion and Joe have a lot of emotional stake together. We're both kind of like not really happy with this whole empire thing. In fact, Michael, while you were describing all of this, I think Bastion has this dream of creating a black market pirate media empire that operates underneath, in the background behind Longinus, and it's, the rebel yell, and if we can get these 200 songs and blast those out on the pirate radio, we would own the media airways. Viva la revolution!
So Dave, is Bastion a new cover name, or like did you take a new identity after getting kind of thrown out, or are you still living under that name, and like are you afraid of like further retribution from Longinus?
That's a good question. I think Bastion is probably a new name, his new cover after his new face was created. Very, very Count of Monte Cristo-esque in that regard. Or Man the Iron Mask. I might be mixing my classics. Regardless, yeah, that's not his real name. And that's a good question. I hadn't thought what his real name is, but it's not Sebastian Dane. It's probably something like Charlie Muggles or something, some very uncool, uncharismatic name. But Sebastian remade himself to be what he is today.
All right. And Irene, how long ago was your mom taken from you?
That's a great question. I think it's fairly recent. It's like my AI mom was like a new addition to the Carly Rae Jepsen collection in the museum. I was floating the idea that my mom was like kind of like a very sophisticated jukebox, like as a part of her time. That didn't only just like play music. It was she was also like a DJ who flowed the songs into one another, and also looked after the guests. Like if anyone was hungry or thirsty, like she'd get to that right away, which made her so good at raising a kid.
So more like a DJ host, house admin than like a Vocaloid.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my god! But I think she does have the voice of Hatsune Miku. Like,
so
that's
because one of the options given in the game, the game, is that a group needs these 200 songs to complete their composite to create a true AI of Carly Rae Jepsen.
Oh, whoa! Okay, that's so funny. Ooh. Yeah, in my mind, she was more, like an admin type, but also if we were trying to rebuild our own Carly Rae Jepsen, that's also very funny.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm thinking like maybe only like a few years ago, like 2-3 years ago, she was added to this vault. Yeah.
And May is adult? Young adult?
Yeah, I would say May's like, I'm gonna say they're 25, same age as me, like only just realizing that moms did a lot. Like,
cool. So, Joe and Curie, how do you think you got involved in or roped into this this heist crew?
I wonder if May sought out Bastion first, because Bastion is more like active black market, like kind of a showier personality, might take initiative more than Joe, although I can't speak for Curie. She might have been involved with other jobs, it sounds like. But I wonder if Bastion approached both of them, or maybe Phoebe, you have another idea, but I could see Bastion kind of spinning his backstory with Joe as like framing that he was more of a crusader for justice when he did work for, because you had a different name. So I'm like, oh wow, you were really here doing the work before I got here and was totally disillusioned, and like that was not the case. And maybe Joe will learn that during the heist, and maybe he won't, and that's fine. But he thinks you are a totally stand-up person, and then is like enraged about what happened to May's mom. He's just like, that is so awful for them. Why like that is the opposite of what preservation should be for. This is
exactly
horrible.
It's a horror show, and we've got to do something. We got to do it now.
And we're like sitting at a bar, and like Joe is saying all of this like very specific based in theory stuff, and like Bastion will say just enough to make it seem like he also maybe like knows a ton about art history. So I'm not sure Jocelyn knows who Bastion is, but that's okay.
Bastion, it's just got import-export is on his business card. That's all it is. So
you got to watch out for those guys.
and every good caper needs a wheel person. And you know, I'm assuming that anybody who identifies as the driver, Curie is probably known. Maybe Curie's in this street racing.
Yeah. What type of like driving or like heist jobs has Curie been doing before this?
I wasn't really sure if Curie has been doing heist jobs before this, because I was thinking the main motivation could have, like, or the main reason Curie came to attention was just the amount of noise she's been making on the internet, or whatever the future internet is, about how these songs and these stuff should be made available to the people, because this can't be the only vault. Like there have been references in the old books to like artists that have been almost completely scrubbed from the historical record as like some kind of bugs or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
and like a band about rocks.
Yeah. And I propose that you're the only one of us with a driver's license.
That sounds
absolutely
good.
Well,
absolutely.
Like in a everything is Uber terrible future, like okay, well, you have to pay to get the license to then get to do gig work.
But in a car that she built herself.
Cool.
Well, my mom was going to teach me how to drive next year, but like, you know, that couldn't happen.
But then she was stolen from you, ripped from your arms. What a beast, what a monster. Something must be done.
Okay, so that seems like we've got at least some sense of how these characters might have been able to connect. I will kind of lay out the kind of, here's what you need to do and a little bit of what you know. And I think probably Joe may be the person who's able to provide some of this information to y'all. So the art gallery that contains the vault and the AI, the kind of DJ Mom AI, is in the middle of a large and fairly MC Escher-esque zero gravity art gallery, which is contained inside the space station Spear of Longinus, that is basically the home, gallery, and like personal offices of TL himself. And this is a space station. So a first question is, how are you going to get onto a space station? And then what are you going to do from there?
Well, the obvious solution is just we're going to take whatever Curie's vehicle and retrofit it into a spacecraft, because like how hard could it possibly be?
Yeah, it's fine. That's so basic. Yeah.
I saw it in a movie once.
My PhD is in the wrong thing.
How much oxygen do we need? Like 5 liters? It's fine.
See May and Curie getting their heads together, and it's like all we hear is like clank, clank.
Well, it sounds like this might be your first obstacle that you'll need to roll about, is retrofitting Curie's car to be able to be spaceworthy.
Ooh.
We need a montage. We need a montage.
Yeah. We're going to how attached is Curie to is Curie she her?
Yes.
Yep. How attached is Curie to her vehicle? Like, is it the kind where she has a name for it? She loves it, or is it just like
she doesn't love this one? It has been too many disappointments. It has failed her too often.
Oh my god!
It needs to. This is its last chance to redeem itself in her eyes.
That's so funny. Does would Curie share that with me? Like, I imagine them just like crouched in front of this thing and like, see, this is funny because I don't know anything about cars, but like, you know, one of those little skateboards that car mechanics fly down on. So like May's just scooting around on one of those things and asking Curie, like, you know, how long have you had this for? How mad are you gonna get at me if I take away some wheels, and like, you know, that stuff.
Well, where we're going, we won't need wheels.
We won't need wheels. That's right. I'm gonna replace them all with jetpacks. Okay. Wow. I guess. Are we rolling on?
I don't have a roll 20. If you have dice handy, that's great. If not, I can find an online dice roller.
I do have a bunch of dice, but none near me, so I'm just going to find like an online roll D6.
Can I offer help by maybe like, because I assume that Joe is on the space station, right? Like I work at this gallery. Can I like sneak into Longinus's like, I don't like garage. I imagine because there are visitors to this museum, there's spacecraft around it. I'm like taking pictures of what a properly built spacecraft looks like and sending them to you, or maybe I'm sneaking around on FaceTime with both Curie and May, being like, I also don't know cars. I don't even drive, like, but I'm trying some level of information that's
so
not
funny.
Just improv.
You're like texting blueprints.
Yeah, because you at the very least you can let them know, like, this is what docking here is going to be like. So this is what this spaceship is going to need in terms of, you know, like size profile and like being able to like attach to docking clamps or something. That certainly makes sense to me. So for rolls in Boy Problems, when you do something risky, you're going to roll 1d6 as a base. You always get at least 1d6. You roll plus 1d if you're prepared for what you're doing, and plus 1d if you're an expert in the type of thing that you're doing. And you can get plus 1d if somebody helps you. I think in very rare cases there may be times where I think it makes sense to be able to get multiple helping dice. In this one, I think let's start with just one. And it would be hard to have a heist if this roll failed and I'd be like, okay, sorry, you're screwed. So the question is, if the roll goes more poorly, that gives me the opportunity to introduce some complications. But the better you do, the easier other aspects of the heist will be. So for Irene, do you think that with this help and with May's background that they are prepared to do this kind of work?
Yeah, I reckon, and to lean into like how I'm rolling with emotions, I guess. I think it's a very much like they're connecting with Curie's disappointment in this vehicle, and it's like, no, we're not gonna give up on this thing. Like, it's gonna make you proud today. Like, I'm gonna make it happen.
So you're gonna make a spaceship that runs on love.
Yeah, exactly. That runs on love and emotion. Yeah.
All right.
And nuclear power.
Yeah.
That's
very
also
Carly
that.
Rae. That's very Carly Rae.
So you start with 1. You get +1 for being prepared. You get +1 for being like an engineer type, and you get +1 for having help. So you're going to roll 4D,
Amazing.
and your number is 2. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you want to roll 2 or higher on as many dice as possible.
Okay. Okay. Ooh. My numbers are 4, 2, 5, and 1.
Okay. So that's 3 successes, and when you roll your number exactly, you cut to the feeling.
Oh my god.
When you cut to the feeling, you get a special insight into what's going on. Ask the GM and ask the GM a question, and they'll answer you honestly. Some questions that maybe make sense here. What are they really feeling? Who's behind this? How can I get them to X? Who should I be on the lookout for? What's the best way to something? What's really going on here? I think it makes the most sense for this to have the questions be about the spaceship, the car, and or somebody that you were working directly with. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds great. So I'm going to open up the sheet so I can have those questions handy.
And if you have another question that you think makes sense, just pitch it to me.
Amazing. Could I have the page number for this list of questions?
Sure thing. This is on page 5. It is Players How to Play, and at the top it says Rolling the Dice.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay. Oh. What are they really feeling? Who's I wanted to ask what Curie is really feeling, just to get an insight onto my teammate.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, Phoebe, you can answer truthfully for Curie. If you don't want to, then instead, I think you're going to take, Curie will take +1D on her next roll, because in these kinds of situations, you forcing me as the GM to answer for a character is fine, but I like protecting character agency, so the decision on whether to answer it will be with the player on behalf of the character, if that sounds all right. Phoebe, what do you think?
I think I can answer. And how I'm really feeling is that there's a lot of room for disappointment, but I think I feel like there's a real possibility we might be able to pull this through, especially if we get enough of the spicy love rocks.
Oh, Phoebe, could I ask what Curie's adjective is?
Sorry, adjective?
Like the label, like...
Dexterous.
Dexterous, thank you. I didn't write that down. Amazing. Thank you. Cool.
Okay, so when you cut to the feeling, you can change your action if you want to. You can decide to do something else. Then treat this roll success and continue the story. So basically, if you realize from the cut to the feeling information you gained that you want to pivot, you can do that and say, oh, instead I want to do this, and then you succeed. You've succeeded as is, even without the 2. So unless you want to change how you're doing or what you're doing, we're going to call this a very good success. And I'm going to say that for this mission, anytime someone is using what this spaceship can do, you're going to get a helping die.
Awesome.
So what does this remade car spaceship look like?
I spent like 50-50 effort and time on, like, you know, the practical stuff, like jetpacks and outfitting it with like enough oxygen and
warp drive and stuff.
Warp drives and nuclear power. But like the other 50% of the time, I was like, no, let's get the spray paints out. Let's like sign the backs of this car. Let's
killer
make
sound
it
system.
like, yeah, killer sound system, bass boosted.
Does Curie have like some look that she asks May to include as the car's being kind of retrofitted?
Only in terms of aesthetics, something very with a lot of like something very synthwave actually, with a lot of those colors, and maybe like especially like signing or a nice mural on the heat resistant tiles on the bottom to see how much is left over once we all come back successfully and have re-entered Earth's atmosphere without burning to a crisp. Because if we've got that thing to look forward to, we can't possibly fail.
Yeah, that's how it works, exactly. We're building this car on love. There's like a for some reason, like synthwave and like what's that? Like the typical image I have in my head is like there's a statue of David for some reason, but then like
like vaporwave?
Vaporwave, that's the word. Yeah. Like there's a marble bust of some like beautiful person. It's Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yeah, it's like I think of vaporwave as a digital 90s that never existed.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. So what is the name of this car/ship? Is it the same name? Is it a new name?
Run away with me.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm feasting. This is beautiful. So do you all think that it's, is it Bastian, Curie, and May on the ship going up to the station and Joe is already there?
Makes sense to me.
Okay. Then I think I would say let's cut to, not the feeling, but let's cut to the station. Dave, did you have a bit?
I do have a bit. Actually, Joe and I have a bit. While Bastian has access to his on-planet Underworld contacts, Bastian and Joe will engage in a bit of data downloading. Joe, what were you going to get for Bastian?
Just any sort of security clearance things that we need, we need to make it seem like they're allowed to be there. I don't think we plan to like march around the gallery and float around the gallery. Or maybe there are those like tether things, so you're sort of like on the world's worst rock wall. I'm not really sure, Mike. I look forward to hearing what you envision.
Do you think this is something you can do without having to like be sneaky about it, or like do you have to like grease some palms?
In terms of getting the information to them, I think some of it I can just pass on. Like I can take a photo of my access card and things like that. And I think some of it, like, I am a curator. I don't know where the security room is. Like that's not my, so I think there's a little bit of that where I'm maybe sneaking around into places that I shouldn't go to be able to be like, oh, like this is the map of like where the security guards float, and like this is how many cameras there are. So
and add these people to the roster of acceptable individuals.
And like, I knew about the guest book, but I didn't know that like in order to get up to the vault, there's like a separate, more exclusive guest book.
Sure. I think to get all of that, I'm going to ask for a roll.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you have one to start. What do you think that you have applies to this?
I would make the argument that I am prepared because I have not infinite time, but this isn't an impulsive decision. It's something that Joe gets to think about and sort of observe before he acts. And I think, Dave, let me know if this doesn't feel right, but Bastian was probably engaged with more of these underworldy pieces. So like, I don't know about the security guard roster, but Bastian might have been like, oh, there's a second secret guest list, and Jocelyn was like, what?
If you go ahead and put in your earpiece and put on this little camera, I can talk you through the whole process and guide you through the skullduggery and nefariousness that is called for.
All right. So that sounds like you're getting help from Bastion.
So I think that's a 3.
Yeah.
Is that 3 dice?
Did you take one for being the inside man? And do you think that applies?
I did not, and I do think that applies.
So I think that takes you to 4. Does that sound right?
Amazing. Yeah.
Great. Why don't you roll those dice, and we'll see how well your kind of setup has done. A really good roll, and this might just kind of blow you past the next obstacle.
Great. Okay.
Oh, dice.
I unfortunately roll. Oh wait, no, that's good. We want to be under a 5, right?
Yes.
Great.
If you think this is swords, like logic, emotion, more than logic, like on the logic and sword start rather than on the emotion part.
Yeah, I think this is kind of pretty strictly like fact finding and logistics. I do only have 3 d6s, but that's a 1, and a 2, and then that's a 6. So 3 successes.
Okay. 3 is a crit, so you get kind of information on the security rotation for the station for when the rest of the team is going to be there. You get basically credentials for these folks, and you're going to be able to get them waived through the kind of docking process. But I want you to tell me what these credentials are. Who are these people according to Longinus Media's records?
Like, we are the advanced installation and security technicians for Berthold Proust, a cutting-edge performance artist who is going to be performing at the gala event in just a few days' time. But we must examine the entire area and ensure that Berthold's work is
I
properly
think I'm
presented.
like, yeah. I'm so sorry. That sounded great. You guys are janitors. You're the new cleaning crew.
Oh,
Fine. We're the janitors.
I think Bastion is saying this, and I'm like, great. Thank you so much. You're janitors.
I love it. You're janitors.
all right.
That tracks.
So I think with that, we can diagonal wipe cut to a montage of the Run Away With Me taking off, presumably to the soundtrack of the song itself. And maybe we get like close-ups on the 3 folks that are flying. And I want to ask the 3 of you who are kind of flying up to the Lance of Longinus now, how are you feeling as the ship makes its maiden voyage into space? And I'm going to start with Curie.
I'm trying to think of the word for the emotion that describes this, but mostly just hoping that I'm not going to be disappointed. Like, is there... I don't know if there's a word that takes that in, but like feeling the result of all of this work and all of these pulsing, burning rockets of love, and all that needs to happen is that this vehicle does not if it can do this one thing without disappointing me, it has one job, and just waiting to see if it can do its one job.
Cool. Bastion, how does it feel to be going back to the haunts of the man who very nearly ended your life?
Butterflies in his stomach, serious doubts as to whether he's up to the challenge, flashbacks of falling and shattered glass all around him. So all of that trepidation, but also that need to reclaim who he is by striking back and taking back that sense of self that was torn away by this bastard. Also, while we're flying through space in this makeshift spaceship, he's just saying, oh please, oh call me maybe, oh call me maybe, oh call me maybe please, oh call me maybe, over and over again.
And I'm going to give Irene a second, understandably, because I'm guessing that, like, how long was May, like, trying to pursue the legal route to get their mom back? Was it months, years?
I think it probably stretched out for like over a year because like there's a lot of waiting around, and May isn't that rich. Like they probably had people who reached out and were really like, when you get like unsolicited like DMs on Twitter, it's like, hey, you were at this, can I interview you? And they were like, no. That sounds bad. So probably dealing with like, those kind of comments and reaching out and waiting on someone to help them, and waiting on further court dates, all of that just stretched it out for like over a year.
And yeah.
So
I think we get a quick montage of like a series of disappointments and like people trying to like kind of like maybe cross May's boundaries in terms of like turning them into a celebrity story about this. And then we see them on the kind of love-powered ship that they have kind of brought up from the ashes of kind of a disappointing car, across maybe months or years for Curie, and closer than they've ever been to getting their mom back. How are you feeling?
I think they look like, out of everyone else, out of the three that are on this ship, May probably looks the most like jovial and put together, but they're very like jittery, and like you're not really supposed to walk around without a seatbelt when this thing is flying and launching, but they're just like, no, it's fine, I'll just like hang on to everything's nailed down anyway, I'm just gonna I get this energy out of me, right? And so they're just like checking everything and like looking at Bastion like having a severe crisis, and they're like, no, it's fine, I double checked everything, look, I'll check it now, like I'm checking it now, it's good, it's running away with us, it's good.
Are the instruments like mostly like visualizers?
Yeah, absolutely, like the in recording studios, those faders and knobs and things already kind of look like a flight desk, but they're just, May and Curie maybe went dumpster diving and just found like an old audio interface, and May was like, yeah, this will work, and yeah. our oxygen level is like a sound wave visualizer. Yeah.
Very cool.
No, it should be flat and high, not doing this. Why is our oxygen doing this?
No, it's just, that's the pressure, like we're changing pressure, so it's fucking with the sensors a little bit, but it should settle down when we get out of space. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Ship's fine.
It's fine.
I'm sure.
Bastion, sit down.
I'm sure that doesn't mean any kind of future trouble.
It's fine.
So yeah, I think y'all have the time to like get janitor's uniforms. Like that's a thing I love about Blades in the Dark is the kind of gear system. This game is even more abstracted than that. So I think a lot of times when you think that it makes sense that you could have already taken care of something, I think you should just let me know, and I'll say whether I think maybe it calls for a roll or it doesn't. So like, oh no, did you buy janitor's uniforms is not interesting to me. What's interesting to me, I think, is like, I don't know, like maybe has Joe met any of these people in person before? That
no, just over FaceTime.
Yeah,
and
so
maybe like encrypted G-chat. I don't know if it's still called G-chat, but
like how's Joe feeling?
Actually, I think I've met Bastion in person. I think we had like a nice in-person bar night on Earthside that was just long enough for me to feel really trusting, but not long enough for me to understand who Bastion is as a person. And then these other two were vouched for by Bastion. But I'll be meeting Curie in May for the first time. But we have been talking, like the call where we built the ship, and I think absolutely. Irene just said we messaged on private Twitter. We did message on private Twitter. That I need that to still exist in the future. And I'm thinking for the janitor uniforms, rather than trying to like, because I imagine like all janitor uniforms are a little different. Maybe I was stealing them, so I had everybody estimate their like sizes, and maybe like Bastion had all of his exact measurements because he's the kind of person who would have custom clothing, and May was like, I don't know, a medium to like some other size.
Send me a picture of the patches they have on the shoulders, and we'll simulate that. And we'll have that all squared away.
Okay. How is Joe feeling right on this precipice of kind of the point of no return level of crime that you're doing?
Stressed. I think like in half an hour before they arrive, I'm finishing up a like gallery tour, and you can't really like private Twitter message while people are traveling through space. So I'm like, I hope everything is good. I hope the ship didn't blow up. I hope they're all getting along. I hope they haven't been stopped. Like, I have no way of knowing, and then we'll go meet them at the nervous. This is my first serious crime.
So what incredibly tacky or horrendously misappropriated stuff is in that gallery that you were just forced to kind of put together? What
any wing of the British Museum?
Okay, it's just
for some reason
it's just like over like lava volcano of colonialism.
Yeah, it's really troubling. And every day after I give one of these tours, I go back into my office and drink coffee, but the coffee has alcohol in it because that's where we are.
That sounds like working in capitalism.
But not today, because we have crimes to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, so you're not a drinks, not a booze on the job kind of inside man.
Well, I'm a booze on the job, like that I get paid to do. But if it's crime, we got to be focused.
Okay, makes perfect sense. So yeah, you've got like we come to the trio in the Runaway with Me, which like I guess it's like a personal vehicle that's being used for janitorial services, because something like that part's not super interesting, because like I'm kind of imagining this in a similar like animated art style to like Cowboy Bebop, or like a lot of pop stars have been doing like anime videos in the last 5 or 10 years. Like Dua Lipa had a like old Japanese animation style video for levitating, and so we've got 3 janitors get out of the spaceship, and security in like full like black on black tactical armor, but it has like neon LED trim, because it's fascist, but make it bad fashion. And so, the big helmets, and
not only is it fascist, but it's ugly fascist.
Right, because like there is an aesthetic to fascism, but many fascists don't have a Hugo Boss, and so they're just tacky as shit. And that's Longinus's whole vibe.
Big time.
And so they run your cards, they come through clean. And what's your like janitorial gear situation looking like?
Well, we definitely have a couple of hover crates that when they open them up for searching, it's got all these toxic chemicals and oozing buckets of cleaning materials and rags and things. We've got trellises of strange bots that do dubious things, but we're not going to tell them because that's classified. And also just lugs of hoses. For some reason, we have a lot of hoses that we're just all lugging. It's like we're going to be cleaning out a pool or something. So yeah, we got hover boxes, we got mini bots doing stuff, and we got lots of hose work.
Okay, so yeah, what's your next move? You've kind of gotten through the docking area. There are a bunch of offices. There's like conference areas. There's residential for like. There's basically the hotel for visiting like rich people and colleagues, and then there's the living quarters for the staff, which are like kind of in the underbelly type area. And because this is the Lanch of Longinus, there's like a big central elevator shaft that goes laterally. And because this guy is tacky as shit, like the art gallery and his personal quarters are in the tip.
We will start making our way towards the administrative hub, and along the way, I'll thumb the communicator to alert Joe that we have arrived.
Okay, yeah. So, Joe, you're kind of wrapping up. You've gotten this message. How do you kind of like extricate yourself from work to be able to go and join them? Or are you joining them yet?
Yeah, I think I say something along the line. Normally, I would like lead people back to, I think there's a gift shop for some reason, like this.
Absolutely.
But there is a gift shop, like, and I think each day I have to explain that there's a gift shop and they should spend money there, like my soul live my body more. But instead of giving the gift shop spiel, I'm just like, you know, and I gesture at like a painting that was definitely stolen, like acquired illicitly, and this is the kind of piece that is best enjoyed in silence and with great pondering. And so my recommendation to all visitors is to stay here and look for at least 2 or 3 minutes, maybe more like 5 or 10. You'll know when to leave. And I leave you here, and then as the visitors look befuddled.
So there's there's like a rail thin but tall guy with kind of like sandy blondish red hair, big cowboy hat, like bolo tie, and he says, "This is one of them paintings by the Italians. This is, of course, Jerry Stone of the Stone fracking conglomerate, hard materials, kind of global extraction, and basically wants you to kind of be his personal docent instead of kind of observing in quiet." So, this one of them Italian painters, one of the Ninja Turtles.
It's not, but the painter is from a continent that is on the same planet as Italy is. So, you know, that's pretty close, actually. That's great insight. That not a lot of visitors realize that.
This one of them Kureskias? It's them one of the techniques.
I'm sorry, what?
Arlene, which one was that? That documentary we watched 3 weeks ago. With the shadow and light.
I smile placatingly at him.
It's not the play of shadow and light. It was like a famous Italian artistic technique.
I
was only halfway paying
okay.
attention. I'm sorry. Arlene wants me to get some more culture. We're going to be entertaining some other business people down at our ranch in New Laredo, and you know, I'm just trying to get a little bit more culture here. TL is a colleague of my dad's, and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm ready to take over the business. And so like this guy seems like, oh, okay, he's rich, not very educated in anything that is maybe beyond like this kind of hard materials extraction, but beyond fracking, and sees you as a lifeline to be able to like soak up some culture that he can then use to sound smart with investors. So I think to extricate yourself from him and his party, you may need to roll.
Absolutely. I think this is probably an emotions roll, unfortunately, for Joe.
Yeah, I think if you want to pitch how it could be swords, I'd say go for it. I may just say sounds a little suspicious.
I'm gonna take this.
You're gonna take
loss,
it? Okay.
I think that's more interesting. What
Beautiful.
I would love to posit is that maybe Bastion has been giving me insight into some of the, like, in this conversation, part of that we had at that bar a few weeks ago, part of why we connected so much was because Bastion was giving me tips for like managing these personalities, and then I got back to giving these soul-sucking tours, and they were actually working, and I was like, wow, this is a guy who knows what he's talking about.
you're just building him
Yeah.
up. I cannot imagine what will happen at some point in the narrative. Okay, so you're going for emotions. Do you think that brooding or inside man will give you an advantage in this situation?
Brooding, no. I think that makes me generally antisocial and sad. Inside man, I mean, I have been doing this for a while. This is not my first experience interacting with these types. So maybe somewhere in my like cadre of knowledge, I sort of know the kinds of things that like this guy might be looking to hear
Sure.
in order to not need to be actively handheld anymore.
Okay. So that sounds like 1d base, 1 for inside man, and 1 for preparation via bastion.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, 3 dice, and your number is 5. So you're looking for a 5 or a 6?
Okay. I got a 6, a 5, and a 3.
Okay, so that's 2 successes, and you cut to the feeling. I want to cut to the feeling. So I want you. Do you have a question that you'd like to ask of this character, or of like something in your immediate surroundings? You get some insight as you kind of give this Texas fracking air enough information that you can then extricate yourself.
Yeah. I think. What question would be useful? I think maybe what's happening is as he's droning on, I'm like sort of looking at him, but a little bit like past his ear. So he thinks he's getting eye contact, but I'm like dissociating / planning, more planning today. And the question that I would like an answer to is like, where can I take my heist team so that we can sort of like group up without being seen and kind of plan next steps. And if there needs to be like hacking or like equipment install, we have time to do that without like, what is that location?
So you, as the Texan is kind of shifting around to stay, like to maintain eye contact, because he heard from from his leadership class that was really important. The kind of you're dancing around each other a little bit, and you see the signage that reminds you that an auxiliary damage control station is down the hallway, and it's actually pretty close to where the rest of the team might be able to come. So you think that is a good place to regroup, because people only go there when things have already gone really wrong. How does that sound?
That sounds great. And I think the thing that I use to extricate myself is like, so this painting is not by an Italian or one of the Ninja Turtles, but you know something that is in the gift shop? There are vintage posters that are reprints of poorly scanned pages of original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics. And that seems like it might align with some of your interests. And the gift shop is that way, just as a reminder, when you're done absorbing this painting for anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes.
Well, I could get some of that, and then I can like wallpaper my 3rd bathroom. I think that'll be real cool.
Yeah, I think wallpaper is really coming back in, and
everybody's got just screens everywhere, and I tell you what, it is hard to clean those when your help isn't around.
It sure is. Have a wonderful rest of your day. It was so great to meet you.
And like as you're walking away, he like fumbles for a business card and says, "I got lots of other questions and ideas about art, so I'm going to give this to you, and then when you have that and it goes next to your phone, it connects to my phone so I can call you."
Oh, wow. I put it in the pocket opposite of the pocket I carry my phone in.
Beautiful. And now you are able to escape. And so we diagonal cut, not to being able to meet them at the auxiliary damage control, but because before that, I want to ask Phoebe, which racing rival that you've kind of crossed paths with is here, and why are they here? as you're walking kind of through the main areas. A racer you've kind of you've lost to in a dramatic fashion is here.
Yes, the most drilling loss to the man with the most annoying name, Fast Joe, because he couldn't even bother to think of a more interesting name. It's like, it would be one thing to lose. It's one thing to lose, but it's another thing to lose to someone who has no sense of style. And, well, he got his in the end because he spun out in a race a little while later, pretty recently, totaled his car. I think I actually heard that it really screwed up something about a Longinus executive. Maybe it killed some of the executive's health, and so Fast Joe has to work off the damages by working in the gift shop.
So, I have a question. What's what was Curie's racing name?
She doesn't talk about that anymore. That's a chapter of her life that is
it caused
that she doesn't want to discuss.
Oh.
All right. Okay. So, as you're walking, I think Curie sees Fast Joe with like a really tacky baseball cap. So somehow the gift shop employees basically have to wear. Is the Office Space? Is that the movie where then somebody's at Applebee's and like you have to have 40 pieces of flair? Or is that another movie?
Well, that might have been Office Space.
Anyway, if you remember that, where it's just like if you take the tackiness of like an Applebee's and then you make everything in like neon and chrome and a baseball cap that is like 5 pounds because it's all pins. So that's Fast Joe. And I'm sad to say Bastien, none other than Thomas Longinus III is there. And, well, he's looking out at the hallway. What I want to ask you is, how is it that after all of that surgery, he still recognizes you? And we're going to go to break. So we are going to take between 5 and 10 minutes because I want to give everybody a chance to stretch, use the restroom, get some liquids, all that kind of stuff. I am a happier gamer when I take a break in the middle, and because I'm the GM, I get to say that we're going to do the thing. And I would invite you all who are watching to also take a break, even if you're watching on the VOD, because if you've been watching on the VOD and sitting or something like that for 90 minutes, it might be good to take a break as well. And then when we come back, poor Bastien is going to maybe be in a little bit of trouble as we continue our game of Boy Problems by Colin Cummings, because this is fun and silly, and that's why we're here. I will remind you all who are watching that we are supporting Max Ottawa and Transgender Entertainment. Entertainment. That's a different charity. I would love to find that charity. Transgender Education Network of Texas, both doing amazing work. You can check those out. We have bag giveaway, I believe. Lovely. The mods are on it, so I don't have to worry about it. We're going to go to our Be Right Back card, and then we will be back in a few minutes with more Boy Problems. Just hang on, and we'll be right back. Hello, we're back. This is Back of Giving Boy Problems. We are halfway-ish through our adventure, and today we are playing and supporting Max Ottawa and TENT, the Transgender Education Network of Texas. This is a role-playing game by Colin Cummings. It is based on Lasers and Feelings by John Harper. And if you are watching right now, you can donate and send us an email at Bag of Giving. And for every $5 Canadian or equivalent in whatever currency you're doing that you donate. So if you donated $10 Canadian, you'd get 2 entries, and so on and so forth. This month we have 2 great prizes. Each of these are a story critique. You could get a story critique from Phoebe Barton, one of our players on the game right now, or you could get a critique from Premi Mohammed, who has been a player on past games. These are both excellent writers, and they've very generously offered their time. And right now, if you make a donation and send in information about that, please don't dox yourself, just the amount that you've donated and the group you've donated to. Thankfully, we have our mods who are on the spot sharing the commands in the chat, so you can look at the chat for specific instructions. So Phoebe, Prince Justin, who is Paul Weimer, asks, would that be a giant critique?
Well, if you consider 7,000 words, that is a lot of words.
I think you could probably get a fair number of giant queer ladies in 7,000 words. Yeah, you can donate. That will give you a chance to win the giveaways. We are playing in support of these charities. So if you like what we're doing, if you had a fun time, and even if you are watching this later on, we would invite you to make a donation there. If you are donating after the last of this month, May of 2022, you won't be able to enter the giveaway for this month, but we have games running throughout the summer. So there may be other things that you can watch, and you can go for other information to bagofgiving.com. And with that, we are going to rejoin our heist crew who are attempting to liberate the vault of 200 recorded but unreleased Carly Rae Jepsen songs, which are being held in a zero-G art gallery by a very shitty media mogul industrialist who, it turns out, has lots of history with good old Sebastian, who currently is dressed as a janitor, and yet somehow, despite the janitor's outfit and some reconstructive surgery, Bastian has been recognized by his old colleague. And so what I want to know, Dave, is what is it that he recognizes? Is it something in the way that you move? Is it some manner? Is it some turn of phrase that you used to use together?
There are 2 things actually that are actually 3 things in concert. First of all, this is the first time Bastian has been in the same proximity as this monster since he pushed him out of the window. So he's frozen and is staring at him. Problem 2 is that while his face was reconstructed, his silvery gray eyes are fairly distinctive. Combine that with somebody staring right at you, and that might be a curiosity. But then there's the third thing, is that whenever Bastian, by the way, his actual real name is Hollis Chlamydia. That's his real name, but he changed it to Sebastian Dane. And wouldn't you also? I think so, yes. But whenever Bastian was nervous, he would always whistle the single Sour Candy from Carly Rae Jepsen's 2008 Tug of War album. That was his go-to worry song. Yes, thank you. And so that combination of 3 things puts all the pieces together in this mogul's mind, and he connects that this is indeed who he is.
And so we see Bastian's kind of almost like rictus stare at this man who ruined his life and nearly took it from him entirely, and then kind of turn to see Thomas, aka T.L. Longinus, who is is like 5'8", very expensive but still somehow bad haircut. The suit is like very lush and almost like it's like almost pearlescent, but it's cut wrong. The shoulders are way too wide because he's really self-conscious about having only averagely wide shoulders. and the sleeves are too short because he likes wearing several different cultures like bracelet armlets and showing them off because he's that kind of shitty dude. And on the space station, no matter what, when wearing a suit, he also wears Birkenstocks. So this atrocity of a rich man leaves the gift shop and walks straight for Bastion and says, "Hollis, is that you? Or do you get his eyes? Why are you a janitor?"
And the stylish grifter looks to his companions to either side and seems at an absolute loss of what to say.
All right. Does somebody want to kind of step in and save Bastion from this horrendous moment? Who's going to step in here?
I can try. Hey, come on, we've told you, we need to clean out those filters or everybody's gonna die. Well, not immediately, but if no one cleans out those filters, people will die eventually. So just have your stars.
I pay for the best cleaning, the best life support services, and so if you all have to be cleaning, then you need to be there 30 minutes ago. And honestly, Hollis, I expected better of you. If you're like cleaning or whatever, a man's got to make his own way in life. I've always said that. Aside, TL inherited several $billion. You got to make your own life. You got to chase your own stars. So I don't want to keep you, but if you're still around, maybe meet up, see how things are.
During this monologue, call me maybe, Irene, you see Bastion's hand is gripping a plunger like a battle axe, and his knuckles are white, and you see the muscle in his jaw clenching.
Dave, do you feel like do you feel like Bastion's kind of rage is such that you would want to roll to try to control it? Do you think that would be appropriate?
I think this is a passionate thing, and the likelihood that he can control it is. Let's see. So,
do you feel like you were actually prepared for the moment, the way that it came?
Under no circumstances. No, certainly not.
Does being a fixer help you in this situation? Grifter. I'm sorry.
Grifter. I think being charismatic helps because you understand protocol and the need to propriety and so on. And what's called for in any given social moment. A grifter certainly is good at masking and hiding things. So yeah, I think those both would come into play.
Okay.
Could I give an assistance? I want to kind of so I think, the three of us are standing in a rough, we look like we came together, but during TL's just ramble, I'm going to start wheeling my stuff away, just I'm just gonna do my own thing, but then the broom that's in my little trolley, I'm gonna try and trip him, basically.
To trip TL?
Yeah.
Okay. Dave, why don't you take a +1D for that help from Call Me Maybe?
So +1D for that, +1 for charismatic and grifter, or just one? Just one, probably.
Yeah, I feel like this seems like it should be a fairly hard roll, but you do have assistance, and that definitely helps. Your number is 3?
Yeah, yes, correct. So I've got 1 for that, 1 for assistance, and 1 for being me. So 3 dice total. Does that sound correct?
You always have 1 to start.
1 to start, and then 1 for charismatic grifter, and then 1 for
help?
Call Me Maybe's help.
Okay, yeah. So. Cool. Let's see what storms roil in the heart of Sebastian Dane.
Well, I got 1 success.
Okay, so when you get 1 success, that's like a mixed result. You barely manage it. So the GM inflicts a complication, harm, or a cost. And I think... do you have an idea of what does it cost Bastion in terms of self-esteem or concentration to not lash out in this situation?
He's probably going to be at a -1 dice until he's able to reassert his mastery of his destiny.
Okay, I think that's a decent penalty.
Yeah, he's feeling very insecure and very tentative, which is death to a grifter.
Okay, so between kind of Curie's assertion of protocol and some urgency, and Call Me Maybe's kind of physical comedy shtick, and an exertion by Sebastian, the three of you are able to extricate yourself from the presence of the master of the Lance of Longinus, and you are able to meet up with Joe in.
Could I do a quick thing? I think when I trip TL, and you can let me know if I actually managed to trip him, or if he's just oh, what's happening under my ankle. I also want to try and just reach my hand into his pocket and see if I find any keys in there. Okay.
I think the tripping you can do. Getting the keys is, I think, what would be dangerous enough to require a roll.
Totally. Yeah. I think I'm just trying to be oh, no, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And I'm just are you okay? And yeah.
So do you think this is more swords or more emotions making this?
I think it's... I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot here, but I think it's probably more swords.
It does say precision.
Yeah. So. A dexterity. It would be perfect for someone who's dexterous.
Indeed.
And Call Me Maybe's number is 2.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to be looking for 1s and 2s.
Yeah.
So is being a fixer here going to help you?
I think being a fixer gives me some degree of dexterity, even though that's not my main thing. Maybe I'm good at just grabbing something and some kind of precision work. That gives me some kind of edge.
Do you think being a hot shot gives you an advantage here? Is this a hot shot move?
I don't think so. I think it's meant to be. It's someone on the sly, and being a hot shot implies a kind of flashiness.
Okay.
Well, it's also very bold. And that's what a hot shot's gonna do.
That is
hot
true.
Shot's I am so awesome that I can pull this off.
Yeah.
All right.
That's true. Yeah.
I think that makes sense to me. Were you prepared? Was this planned? Were you gonna try to lift something off of somebody, or is it a spur of the moment thing?
I think they're very impulsive. I think Call Me Maybe is very just well, I'm here anyway.
Okay. I'm sure. Yeah. What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
All right.
It's me as a player. I'm no, we haven't had failures yet. Let's change that. So how many dice is that?
So it's one base, and then 1 for hot shot, and a third if you think that being a fixer applies. It feels a little bit like a stretch to me.
Yeah, I'm just gonna roll 2.
Okay.
Phoebe says I am going to cause problems on purpose, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Okay.
Do you think
I'm gonna do it.
The other people, the 2 others who are here, would either of you catch this in time to be able to help, and if so, how?
Picking pockets is Bastion's jam. So seeing, in fact, you know what? One of the reason Irene thinks she can pull this off is because Bastion was showing her during the montage when we were working on the ship. I was showing May. I was showing May how to pick pockets.
Yeah,
and we were practicing.
And so you've already helped them in a flashback.
Exactly.
And so with a flashback, you are prepared? Is that what it sounds like?
I would say, yeah.
Okay. Well, that would give you a 3rd die, which would certainly be a lot less scary.
A lot less scary. Okay.
All right, but you're still looking for 1s and 2s.
1s and 2s. Okay. Here I go.
You're prepared. You suck, but you're prepared. So.
I suck, but I'm prepared. And this, whoa, I was honestly hoping for a failure, but I got a 2, a 1, and a 5. So that's 2.
Okay. 2
successes, and I got to the feeling.
So what special insight does Call Me Maybe get in this moment as you kind of are able to do, a kind of a classic heist, stumble quick lift?
Yeah.
You could find out you could get an insight as to what TL is feeling.
Yeah.
What's his password?
What's his password? I think, would it be a part of the success to have, like, can I say that I've gotten some kind of key card that gives me accesses to restricted areas?
I think the cut to the feeling, I think, is supposed to be more about insight than about like a critical effect.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it's probably should be something more intangible and like insight based. So you get some sense of TL or some sense of this place in that moment.
Let me think. I'll ask what I should be on the lookout for with TL in particular, like what kind of character is this person? Like yes, we all know he's gross and obviously trying to overcompensate, but what's really going on?
So something you realize as you do this is you notice not one, but 2 cameras. One is built into his glasses and one is on his lapel. And so you have to avoid those, and you can. But in that, you're reminded of like a feature in like Forbes or something that you maybe had read about him when you were researching, like, who's this shitty person who has my mom in prison? That he has like global state-of-the-art surveillance systems. And if once you are in that gallery, you're going to have to contend with those. And Joe is going to know about them, but knowing about them and being able to get around them are 2 very different things. And when like off balanced, you are pretty sure that is going to be what he's going to fall back on, is having eyes everywhere. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, that's great info.
So you you do pickpocket him, but I think on 1 success, what you're going to get is, I think he has like both a key card and then he has like basically a smartphone that is the real controller thing.
Oh.
And so you're going to get basically, this is a thing that says it's him, but it's not the kind of keys to the castle.
Oh, he has 2-factor authentication. Oh no. It's going to send a QR code or something to him.
But you have some tech skills and you might be able to do something with that.
Yep, sure.
Okay. And you're able to get away, and I think, Joe, you've had a couple of minutes in the auxiliary damage control area. So what have you been doing? Hey, so sorry, I'm gonna counteract. I'm gonna interrupt myself, CJ. Mercs of Mischief is raiding with a party of 8. Thank you so much, Mercs of Mischief and community, for raiding and coming by. This is twitch.tv/Arvin Eleron. Arv is a variety streamer with a lot of story and narrative focused games. But today, Arv has generously shared his platform with Bag of Giving, which is a charity actual play series comprised of science fiction, fantasy writers, and other professionals. I am GMing a game of Boy Problems, which is a very kind of rules-light, narrative-focused tabletop role-playing game by Colin Cummings. And this group of scoundrels are attempting to steal a vault of 200 recorded but never released songs by Canadian pop sensation Carly Rae Jepsen, who maybe sort of, in a little way, is also one of the characters' moms. It's a little confusing. And so we're going to join one of these thieves in auxiliary damage control on the space station, the Lance of Longinus, where the vault is being held. So what are you up to, Joe?
Yeah, what does this auxiliary damage control room look like?
Yeah, I think it's got like a few different consoles, and then there's a lot of like big like switches. So there's like more manual override stuff, and there's some digital streams from a bunch of different areas and like big kind of painted pipes running through the room with like access areas where you can like kind of screw on, screw off things to stop the flow of stuff. So there's a lot of like arterial physical infrastructure here.
Okay. Is it possible, since you mentioned there's some like screens, is it possible that I see this interaction that they have out in the hallway?
I think that's a reasonable coincidence.
And I did do that security research earlier, so maybe I see May get the key card, and I'm like, no, you need the. They can't hear me.
Yeah.
Great. And
Alas.
so what I've been doing since I saw that, and the other three are making their way there, is I'm looking for from this room some sort of access point. Like this is my first heist, but I have watched Ocean's 11 and 12. Did not see 13. Did see 8 and the other Ocean's movies that have ostensibly come out of the cyberpunk future. And so I'm looking for like a ventilation unit type of. I'm like, surely there has to be some kind of roof panel that like someone could jump out of in the vault instead of trying to use the access door that will tip.
Yeah, I think from here there is a vent that will let you like die hard vent shimmy out to the elevator shaft. And you know that around this elevator shaft there is some physical infrastructure where there's basically little monorails that also go up and down the station that are for staff.
Okay.
Because it's one main elevator, and that's for the important people. And there's like another elevator next to it that's like the freight elevator. But if you want to move people covertly, maybe that tram is an option. It's not going to be abandoned, though.
Okay. So that is maybe what I've been up to since I saw this on the screen, and is that maybe around when the three of them get here?
Yeah, I think you're able to like see them on the screens. You remember where the vent is, and then we get the quick montage of Joe at like an orientation meeting or something, seeing the video of like, here's how the trams work and things like that, so that we, the audience, know how everything works, and then also know that Joe knows. And so the trio of janitors come in. It's plausible that you would need to be doing cleaning in here because this room's very important. So here you all are together. You have been seen, but not necessarily in a way that's gonna linger. You hope. A little iffy. How are you feeling?
Uncertain, unstable. Joe, finally. Oh, God, sorry about that. Wow. I did not expect to see the man in the promenade coming out of the freaking gift shop. Oh my God, I screwed that up so bad. I'm sorry. It's okay. We can come back from this.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he really recognized you. I don't think I understand the gravity of this because I think you're a very different person than you actually are. So I'm just like, oh, like of course you're upset by him. Like you didn't used to be a lackey.
Yeah, exactly.
Comey maybe's gonna, like, as soon as they get into the room, they're gonna turn to Bastion and put a hand on his shoulder, like, hey, you okay? You look really sweaty.
I feel really sweaty. I feel incredibly, Thank you.
Thank
you, both of you. That was just, yes, okay. I will. I'm gonna sit over here, have some water. You, Joe, this is May, and Curie, discuss.
Yeah, take a moment. Hey, Joe, it's so nice to meet you. Not over FaceTime. I don't think our Wi-Fi signal is that great, so it's great to see you, like, more than 3 pixels of you.
I think another thing I will share now that you are seeing Joe in person is that Joe does not look like a museum's professional. Joe is 6'4" and has a shaved head and like very intense like brown eyes, and is always dressed in like the straight man uniform that is a light blue like short sleeve shirt and like khakis or gray slacks with a like neutral tie. And so he looks like the most boring person ever. But under the long sleeves are like really cool like light cyberpunk tattoos that look like circuit boards.
So,
but obviously you can't wear those at have those at work.
So is Joe secretly played by 2080s version of like Jason Statham or
Totally possible.
or like Vin Diesel?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely possible.
Yeah.
Nice.
What's your next move here, team?
We need to take the staff monorail up to the vault, and we might be able to find an access point up there to. And then I turn to May and I say that I'm not sure that key will actually get us at two-factor authentication. I
What
shake
key?
my head.
What
sadly.
key?
Damn it! No. Oh. Hey. Bastion, I pulled the thing. I pulled the card out of my pocket. I did the trick that you showed me.
You did a lift. You
I
did
did
a
it!
lift.
And so
I
we,
know!
Awesome! Congratulations.
I didn't think I would do it.
You freaking crazy! You tried to pull a
Sorry.
whip on that
No.
maniac. We're in the
It's
middle of a
fine.
heist here. Come on.
What's he
Oh,
gonna do? Push me out a window?
the card is like tremendously heavy. It's like future graphite, like so you've got like there's like platinum cards, and then there's like 3 degrees above platinum cards, which is just like rich people signaling how rich they are to each other with like up in the air like status cards. And so this is like something like that, which he had commissioned. There's really like there's one of these in the whole company, and he just had it made for him. It has its own special design because he's that kind of person. So it's like it's way too heavy for what is effectively a credit card.
I look at
so
the card and I'm like, we should keep that or like sell it. It could probably pay off some student loans.
That's great. Joe, you have those, right? Student loans?
You don't? I look confused and sad.
I went into an apprenticeship.
That would have been a better idea. I should have listened to my
No, that's
undergrad
okay.
advisor.
Hey,
I mean,
can
if-
you clone that card? Can you clone that card?
Me personally?
No, May. Can May do that?
Oh.
Can you clone that card? So he's going to miss that probably in the next hour or so. We need to get it back to him. But if you can
Shit.
clone it, then we can use it. Come on, hot shot fixer.
I start like pulling out all the like little magnetic wrenches and like screwdrivers. I'm like, I can probably take the chip out from this and then like put it. I mean, it won't be pretty, but it'll probably
Doesn't have
feel.
to be pretty.
It'll probably feel the same.
No,
Yeah.
all we need is the data and the passcodes and the magnetic resonances on this card.
Yeah.
So, and it could be ugly as sin, as long as we can hold it up against a thing and have it think that it's looking at that card.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
I mean, Joe, you said that two-factor authentication though. Will this actually help us? I mean, we can sell it. We'll definitely sell it.
We can make use of it. Because
Yes.
basically wherever that card is, the system is going to think TL is.
Okay.
We can put
Okay.
that to use.
Yeah. And I disassemble one of the Roombas that we carried with us and like get one of the. Yeah, I'm gonna start putting something together.
Hey, do you mention the cameras and the security stuff at all?
Oh shit! Yes, right. I definitely think I mentioned the cameras and Mike. There's no audio on these security cameras, right?
The ones that he was wearing.
Yeah. Let's say the ones that he was wearing.
You did not think that those should get audio, but there's definitely going to be there's going to be surveillance across several spectra and senses in the gallery at least.
Okay. I'll mention that to the crew, and I think before I start my work disassembling this card and flashing it around, I'm going to have a quick look around this room as well to see what kind of surveillance we're dealing with, so that we don't just look very suspicious on camera.
Yeah, I think this room is kind of claustrophobic enough that there's going to be a place where you could be plausibly working on something. Like getting caught there, I think, is not as interesting. If you want to try to pack something together, I think that will call for a roll.
Okay. Yep. Okay, so I have one die to start with. I think being a fixer in this definitely
For
helps.
sure.
And I don't think I was prepared to do this, but
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to make a, like, as Bastion suggested, I'm going to make a dupe
clone of the. Okay.
of this.
Yeah.
And
That wasn't
yeah.
something we prepared for.
So is there a like in heist application that you imagine for this? Maybe because if not, then maybe it doesn't need a roll.
Yeah, I think to avoid the consequence of TL finding out that like his card is missing and that like something has gone wrong, to like kind of avoid that level of alertness from him.
Sure. That doesn't need a roll because it's not getting you special access. It's kind of like covering up for something. And I made a fairly unfair hard move on Dave so that we could have a cliffhanger. This is the GM's generosity.
And I do think Bastion is planning on using that card's ability to have the system think that TL is in multiple places around the station at once. So it's going to factor into the heist later.
Okay. Yeah, so you can do that. And
Awesome.
Where are y'all headed next? Going to go into the vent?
The question to Joe. Joe, what happens to the artwork in the gallery if there's a fire?
There's a detailed evacuation plan for staff, some staff.
Automated?
Some of it is automated, some of it is too fragile for the robots to handle, so it needs to be carried out by hand.
Okay. As we enter into the vent, Bastion asks Joe which particular art pieces are carried out by robots and where are they taken to?
There are escape pods around the station that the robots shuttle the artworks to, and they all have pre-assigned art pieces and pathways in order to not obstruct the evacuation of the visitors and things like that. It's a 83-page plan, and I have read all of it.
That's why you're the inside man. Awesome. So, here's the caper. We need to get into the vault and get the pieces. That, I think, should be fairly easy. Getting out is the problem, with the tracks intact. The thing is, we're not going to have to. If we take the tracks, put them on one of those pieces of artwork that the robots move to the escape pods, and then have May set off a detonation in the art gallery, triggering the failsafe mechanisms, while Curie is waiting outside in our ride to intercept the escape pod as it jettisons to keep the artwork safe. We'll have the piece. May will have your mom, and we'll be able to get the heck out of here in the confusion, because TL will be everywhere and the security guards will be following in every single direction. And in the chaos, those of us inside, that'd be you and me, Joe, we can get the heck out of here. What do you think?
If we set off the detonation in the gift shop instead of where the priceless artwork is?
Well, it doesn't have to be a destructive detonation. It can just be a gaseous detonation that will trigger the sensors into thinking it was a detonation. I don't want to blow up art anymore than anything else.
In that case, we have to be careful about what gallery it is, because some of the artworks are so sensitive to changes in humidity and the composition of the air that they might be
I have
sensitive to.
every faith in you, Joe, that you'll be able to pick the exact right piece of artwork and the exact right gallery for us to stash these in.
I look very stressed by that and begin mentally rippling through my Rolodex of where May could possibly set off this detonation, such that we could also stash the artwork and not destroy anything.
So,
personally.
do y'all think that this was the plan the whole time?
Yeah.
It's like I don't know that this operates on.
I think this is new to Kiri.
Because it doesn't seem like any of this information is based on stuff that you couldn't have known before the heist. And if it was the plan the whole time, then everybody can know it, and we can just move forward to see what goes wrong with the plan. If y'all keep rolling brilliantly, then maybe nothing goes wrong with the plan.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Is that okay? Does that sound like what
Phoebe,
you
did you
want to
say
do?
that it was new to Curie?
That's what it felt like, but we can just go. It's easier to go with the prior plan.
I wonder if Bastion and May have known this the whole time, and in their planning have failed to loop in Joe and Curie, and that's why Curie is like,
Entirely
oh,
possible.
Okay. And
Entirely
Joe is
possible.
like, oh, we're setting off a bomb in an art gallery. Great.
Yeah. And Bastion knew Joe would not go for that, and May probably knew that Curie would not be down with intercepting a fast-moving escape pod filled with the treasure and prize that we're going for. So we wanted to save that
maybe
until.
And Bastion were just like on one. They were just like, yeah. We got this. Yeah. That's it.
It's all good. And now the rubber meets the road. It's like, oh yeah, you have to do this now. Sorry.
You can do it. You got this.
Well, it would have been a lot
Believe in
better to
yourself.
know this before, so we could have rebuilt the car to do what we needed it to do if we were going to be catching something.
They already did that.
It'll go fast enough. Yeah,
They already did that. Why do you think she put in the retro burners and those big honking hooks on the side of the thing there? Those aren't just spoilers.
we can put in more fuel.
May said that was for style.
But I took
And
those out of the
practicality.
design.
Sorry, what was that?
I took those out of the design because they weighed too much. And you didn't say anything.
Curie, here's the thing. I know you've had a rough go of it. And I know you're not 100% confident in your abilities as a driver. But you're the only one who feels that way. Everybody in this room knows that you are the best driver, better than fast frickin' Joe, certainly better than anybody else that we know. You are the only person that can do this. You've got this. We need you to do this.
The bit of it, the only person that you know who can do this is correct.
I mean, more than that, you care about this though, right? I care, everyone here cares about this. Like, I'm here because of my mom and those great tracks, and you're here because of those great tracks, and Jocelyn cares about, good art and this asshole, and a Bastion. You want to bring this bastard down? Like, we're all here. No one else can do this, but I think that speaks to your beliefs and your uniqueness of why I sought you out.
We're doing this?
Did we come this far to not do it?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's do it. And we won't even ruin that many art pieces in the process.
You won't
I
ruin
would love
any.
it if it was 0. I would love if it was 0.
May, 0 art pieces. 0.
The gift shop is
try
right
to
there.
ruin 0.
We just need to make sure. It doesn't matter where the detonation goes off as long as the bots take the art piece to the escape pod. That's all we need.
So, in the interest of time, I'm going to ask, what's the first dangerous thing that you have to do to pull off this plan?
Gotta get into the vault.
Okay, so how are y'all going to be doing that?
Well, I have a multi-tool. Maybe like that. I don't know if that would work. Like, what kind of locks or security mechanisms does the vault entry have?
It's got there's probably a thing where you need to give a digital code. There's a thing where you have to like manipulate basically a wooden puzzle for quote unquote smart kids from a fancy store in the mall, but it's all metal. And like the two of those are interconnected. But if you've got a multi-tool, that sounds like you've got at least a start. You've got the TL's like ID thing, which maybe you can do something else with. And I hear that Bastion has something up his sleeve. So Dave,
another question.
Yeah.
May, is your mom the disc jockey AI? Is that an actual robot, or is she just a software package?
Well, she's been put into a tiny chip. She's usually in a big jukebox that wheels around, but she's just in a chip right now.
That's not helpful. Okay, very good. She's
very helpful, but just not right now.
Not right now. Yes, of course. Sorry, I didn't mean to defame your mom. That wasn't my intent.
That's fine.
I might have something that will help us if all else fails. But let's start with Curie's multi-tool and see what we can bypass that way, and then we can loop in TL's security card, see if we can bypass something else, and if needs be, we might have a skeleton key here. We'll see.
Okay. So you've got a multi-tool. You've got some other options. Who do you think is making this roll? Is this Curie because it's her multi-tool? Is this May as the fixer?
I could make the roll with May's assistance because I'm the one actually using the tool.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
with
I'd like to
guidance
do that.
of what to use.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
dexterous.
Use it how?
Yeah. So you get 1d base. I feel like dexterous will apply here. You've got at least one person's help from the various tools. Do we think anything else applies here?
Preparation. This isn't spontaneous. This is focus and do this thing.
Okay.
And like we were prepared to get into the vault. We just like just the whole bit of like causing the explosion and so on wasn't what Curie knew about at that point. So
but you knew about the vault, so you could
Yeah.
have prepared for that. Okay, so that sounds like you get 4d, which is a lot. But sometimes the dice will disobey you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this is more swords or is this more emotions to be able to
Swords.
unlock this? That sounds like swords to me. And your number is 4, so you're going to be looking to get under 4. Is that right?
Or under.
Yeah. We want high for emotions and low for swords. So
6 and 6.
Oops.
all right, we're looking for the other side of the dice here.
And 5 and 5.
Oh, we're
Okay,
fine. I mean,
so-
we're screwed.
So 4D all failures. Sometimes the dice are very mean. So I'm gonna look at the book. So on 0, if none of your dice succeed, it goes wrong. The GM says how things get worse somehow. So here's the thing. The vault opens. And you are greeted by a trio of robots. These are the security drones, and they are all shaped like famous sculptures or paintings. So you have a flying robot that is Michelangelo's David, a seated Buddha on rockets, the bull liar from ancient Mesopotamia, and a Lincoln memorial with with like a Gatling gun that shoots like foam that expands. And all of them are pointed right at all of you. The vault has opened. You have enough space to go through, but you have alerted the systems, and you have these drones right in front of you, and they are about to open fire. So who is going to act Who's going to do something about that?
I look to Joe and I say, "Hey, do you know these guys?"
These are not museum pieces, I say grimly. And I think, I wonder if there is like a fire extinguisher somewhere, and I can attempt to bust open the fire extinguisher like case and like attempt to foam spray these robots before they can shoot us and hope it messes with their wiring.
There absolutely would have been a fire extinguisher or fire suppressant in the damage control room that you could have picked up.
Okay. I think also particularly when May was like, yeah, we'll mostly not damage the art, I was like, great, there will be a fire.
Okay, so do you think this is more swords or emotions? Seems like it leans swords to me.
I think it's swords. I think I was prepared for fire, but maybe not robots. Although I would have been aware that these security robots are around. So going back and forth on if I'm prepared.
I feel like I could see either prepared or a bonus from Inside Man, but maybe not both?
Probably not both.
Okay. And you do this, is one of the rest of you going to also do something? Are you kind of tackling this challenge as a group?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Whilst Joe's doing that, Bastion will go to Curie and May and say, May, give me the clone card. Go get you two go get the tracks and get your mom. Joe and I will take care of this.
Okay. I give you the card and I just sneak around the squad of robots and run off.
Yeah, because
what I kind of envision also is like I am like standing between May and the robots as much as possible as like a shield, so that like the robots, even if this fire extinguisher thing does not work, May can like go behind me into the vault.
Okay, so once you get into the vault, that's where it will be 0G. So you kind of go like walk in, and then you'll be floating. So that sounds like Bastion kind of coordinating. Is Bastion directly interfering or attacking the robots?
Yes, he's gonna use the card to swipe on whatever. There's got to be a card swipe somewhere around here.
Yeah, there'd be a console just inside the door. He's gonna
go ahead and sweep the clone card over it and say, "Stand down, you sons of bitches. TL says everything's fine."
Okay. So yeah, if it's going to be Joe that rolls, that can definitely be an assist. It's fairly implausible, but as an assist, it doesn't have to be as plausible if y'all want to do it that way. It's kind of how I do it in Blades in the Dark. You can do a cool thing in assisting as long as it's not too incredulous. Yeah. So that would be, I would give you a one more bonus die there, Joe.
Great.
And your number is 5, so going swords is pretty solid for you, right?
Yeah. That's
cool.
3 dice. Great. That's a 6, a 4, and a 2.
Okay. So both a 4 and a 2 are successes. You don't cut to the feeling, but you do get a full success. So why don't you describe what it looks like as Joe and Bastien are doing kind of a multimedia assault on these egregious robotic drones.
I think it's sort of like slow motion action sequence style, whereas the robots, like as each one rolls forward, I am like doing something different with the fire extinguisher. So maybe the one with like the expander foam like comes at us first, and I activate the fire extinguisher, and the fire extinguisher foam meets the expander foam, and it like floats off to the side. And then there's like another one that is like rolling right at us, and I just like flip the fire extinguisher around, and I just like hit it like it is a golf club or some kind of like hand-to-hand weapon. Yeah. And we like do this shielding May all the way over to the vault. And maybe Bastion like attracts, I think Bastion is like trying to help with the card, and so maybe it's not the robot is convinced, but the robot is like, oh, that's like movement, that is another moving target, and like goes after Bastion to dispatch him, and having just one less robot lets me handle the others.
The Buddha gets confused, and so the body and the head are rotating in different directions. I think maybe you get fire suppressant in the barrel of the Lincoln Memorial's Gatling gun, and so as it's firing, it's just like spinning itself because like the force is still exerting, and so it's just utter chaos in the art gallery as Curie and May are kind of floating off to get to the vault, but it has its own like basically high-tech keypad security, and you don't have anything that applies directly to this. So what I want to know from the two of you is, how are you going to get this out? To describe it more fully, it is a basically there's a 3D hologram of Carly Rae Jepsen herself that every way you look at it, no matter where in the room you are, she's looking at you and singing, and it's on a loop. And then there's a little placard that, talks about the unreleased songs, and there is a it's just like a 30 terabyte thumb drive, nothing big. And that is what the tracks and the AI are contained on. That, like the physical kind of, it's like a capsule, like a capsule. So like it's tube shaped, and then there are pillars that anchor it into the wall. So you've got some physical infrastructure and some digital infrastructure to get through. How are you going to get this capsule out? Or how are you going to get the vault out of the capsule?
Can I contribute by yelling after the two of them, "No more hesitation, this is on," which is a line from Cut to the Feeling, as I'm battling these robots.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So that will count as help.
Amazing.
Can I tell what it looks like the capsule is made out of? Whether or not it's like a plastic or something a lot harder?
Yeah, it's like very tough plastic, but not as tough as steel.
Okay. So the multi-tool would, in addition to neat things like tweezers and so on, would also have a bunch of knives. So try to use one of the multi-tool's knives to physically cut an access hole in the side of the capsule.
Absolutely, that's heist stuff, 100%.
I also have a blowtorch as a fixer, so maybe I can just blowtorch it for a while and get it all nice and softer.
Or you could, no, yeah, because we don't need at this point to remove any of its physical connectors, like this the sticks connecting it to the surrounding.
Yeah. So, is this going to be Curie rolling? Is this going to be May rolling?
How about I'll try again with my cursed dice. Okay.
So
and get
1D to start. You get a assist from Lyrics. You can get another assist from May. Do you think Dexterous or Driver will apply here?
I don't know if Dexterous would apply.
I would say probably, because it seems like Dexterity will be involved in trying to be able to cut and quickly, right?
And also to get a grip on the
you're doing this in 0G, right?
0G without going. Okay, so was that 4?
I think that is 4. And do you think that's swords or emotion to do this?
Swords.
Okay, so you're looking for under 4 again.
Two and 5.
Nice. So that's 1 success so far.
3 and 3.
Okay, 3 successes is a critical, and I think what that means is that you when you cut the plastic, you notice that there's actually circuitry, very small circuitry and wiring that is layered inside the plastic, and you manage to cut just so that you cut the lines on the circuitry, and so the mechanical security on the vault just pops open even before you have cut all of the plastic bit out, and the vault is just there for you to take. So because you got a critical, you overcame both layers of security in one go. Very nice. So yeah, I think then we're going to get a wacky montage of the three or four crooks, criminals, heist liberators, scrambling. Joe, are you leaving with them?
That is a great question. I think if we are like doing the detonation, it makes sense because we are evacuating. So if I end up in the wrong evac, like I think like I personally am maybe carrying out one extremely high value piece of art that like I, as an on-site staff member, am maybe responsible for, because it's like, oh god, if someone breathes on this, it will disintegrate.
Like a staff buddy system or something.
Yeah. But I can plausibly like evacuate with them, and then whether I will be returning to this place remains to be seen, I think.
Okay, cool.
They need somebody to run the pirate network, Joe.
Because we are at a quarter till, I'm going to do the rest of this in quick montage. And so I'm going to ask each of you to give one detail of how you all get away. If anybody wants to kind of start, basically you've gotten the stuff, you had plans for either, getting the vehicle or some other way of getting out. Who has an idea of the first next step in this montage of escape that y'all see?
We need to make our way to the loading docks, the loading bay, to get the ship so we can pick up the escape pod with the tracks that we wanted to secure. But unfortunately, with all the noise and the explosions and so on and so forth, the station is going on lockdown. And the crew was running and running and running. And we get to the last door, but it closes at the last second, and we're blocked between us and our ship. But Bastion pulls out his skeleton key and swipes it across the thing, across the keypad, and there's a tense moment when nothing happens. Sparks on the thing, and the door opens up, and we continue on our way.
So the Star Wars theory, where you shoot a door, it opens or closes as you need it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so you've got the door open. You're able to get out through this this last layer of security. Is it the same ship that's there? How did you get the ship from where it was docked to where you needed it to get out?
Autopilot.
Yeah, we installed remote autopilot. So Curie was flying it down there while we were on the way to there.
Like a drone.
Very nice.
Perfect.
So there is the Runaway with Me, beautiful and garish in all of the best ways, awaiting you to carry you home. I think that there is a variety of Longinus security, so you're going to have to deal with the security and or give them basically get away from them. So Irene or CJ, do you have an idea of how you deal with the security?
I raise the 2 by 3 inch extremely fragile print that I personally am responsible for evacuating above my head, and begin yelling that we have an extremely valuable piece of art and that we have to be allowed through, and that this is our escape route as designed by the 83-page plan that we as personnel of this station have all highly familiarized ourselves with. And I care about this art so clearly, I know what I'm talking about, and I don't know if they appreciate or totally believe that, but I think I am imposing and belligerent enough in this instance that maybe we can shoulder our way over to this ship that is not exactly a uniform ship. This is also my first time seeing the ship, when they were building it, what I had envisioned was that they were trying to copy the type of things that like are on the station, right? So
Why
I
would
see
we
this
do
and
that?
I'm like, oh, this explains so much. I keep that to myself though. I'm like, wow, okay, I this recontextualizes everything.
So fortunately, the security is not paid. Is not really paid that well, and it's close to the end of their shift, and so the kind of the security piloted drones basically escort you to basically no longer Longinus airspace. And at that point, they have deemed you that you've reached basically a secure distance and leave you to your own devices, which means that you're able to get back to the surface. And then I want to ask Irene, what is it like when the four of you deliver the vault to the team, to the benefactor, who is in fact a group of Carly Rae Jepsen superfans who have created an underground commune as a counterculture to try to survive the corporate hellscape. This is, I would imagine, the community that you grew up in.
Oh my God, absolutely.
So what does it feel like to return as the kind of the prodigal scion of this community with your mom in tow?
With my mom, I think, like, you know, with my team, we hand over like the chip of 200 unreleased tracks, and you know, I say, like, you know, here's part one, but we need a proper DJ to help us absorb all of this auditory goodness, and I think I think we end up putting the chip that has my AI mom in it into some like pretty shitty Bluetooth speakers, because that's what we have on hand. Or like, no, I think we just put her into a Roomba, but we have pretty good speakers, and she's just like, you know, we can do this. I'll operate and DJ from a Roomba, and I think all the kids are just like so relieved to see her back. The ones who know her, and the ones who are like, who's this DJ mom, are just are also overjoyed.
Yeah,
and we get to have an experience.
Yeah, and so as the kind of the commune has like, they've spent their money very specifically, and so having this big room where people can come and enjoy music that is like very different from the very processed crap that that Longinus puts out, and so the speakers are like visibly shaking, and like the bass hits your sternum as "Now That I Found You" plays, and we go into a montage, and I'd love a detail from each of the four of what life is like having gotten this big payoff from the superfan commune, and succeeding in your mission. So if somebody has a detail or a quick moment for your character that they want to give us as we outro.
Just painting some really rad airbrushed art on the side of a van with wings.
Hell yeah. Very cool.
Before, I think, like, you know, at the end of Heist, when everyone's saying like, okay, let's go back and get a good night's sleep, May finds Curie and says like, oh, wait, and like digs around in their pockets, like their overalls, whatever, and finds like an Allen key and gives it to Curie and says, if you're in a pinch, like, just look under your seat, there's a little, it just kicks things up a notch. I know you'll need it. And gives her the Allen key.
What, it's not for good luck?
It's also for good luck.
Aw. So what is life like for Bastien, having gotten some very sweet revenge on Tito?
I'd actually kind of like to go last.
Okay. Then Irene, do you have a moment for Call Me Maybe post reunion?
Yeah. I think we see Call Me Maybe, like, you know, a month or a few months later, and I think maybe to everyone's surprise, there just isn't that much media coverage on like local mechanic recovers AI mom. Like, there's just none of that. They've managed to stay under the radar. But we get a really nice scene of this commune of Carly Rae Jepsen superfans playing around like a huge lake at sunset, and we've managed to upgrade the cleaning robot that my mom's in into she's now a humidifier. Like she's getting bigger and bigger models, and she has like robotic arms that were designed to let her do some cleaning, but she's using it to braid the hair of like one of the girls who's just sitting in front of her and playing. Yeah, and I think we just get this happy family scene of like Colmy maybe leaned up against their warm robotic mom's humidifier frame.
Excellent. And then we come to the grifter, Sebastian, who has survived one terrible thing, gotten some revenge. What's next?
So the camera pans to a darkened workstation where 3 skilled hackers are hacking away at keyboards. The camera pans back and you see the face of Bastian staring at this computer screen, his face uplit from the glow of the screen. The hackers are hacking away furiously, and the camera pans around. You see the screen is the hidden vault of Miley Cyrus songs, and the wrecking ball comes flying across, and you see this grin spread across Bastian's face.
All right. And then from that, we pull out, and there's another montage of a different heist crew halfway around the world, pulling Operation Purple Rain and liberating the catalog of prints. And so then throughout the credits, there are kind of these other heists, and then we will come to Joe. What is another moment in your life?
I think with the heist payout, we pay off some of the student loans, not all of them. There are a lot of them. And I think with some of the money, a group that is involved in like repatriation lawsuits for art heists has received like additional funding, weirdly. Like no one is really sure who funded it. And they're starting to like have more lawsuits against this museum, and the museum, everyone is like pretty paid off. But they do have like an expert witness in some of these trials who has a lot of knowledge about some of the unethical acquisition practices, and I think that's Joe, and I think maybe Bastian also helps Joe with some of this information as well, like really just sort of out of left field trying to continue to bring down Longinus. And I also like to think in like May's scene, there's a little camera pan back we saw like at the beginning shot, like May sliding out from under on one of those car skateboards. I think May is also maybe like teaching Joe some mechanic stuff, because definitely he is not going to have a job after all of the lawsuit stuff.
And
we can have like a car factory together. Yeah.
That sounds great. And there can be really cool public art, like repurposing no longer useful car frame, more like community-centric, site-specific art for the Carly Rae Jepsen fans. They're definitely working on a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, and in those, in the lawsuits, like Longinus still has all the money in the world, but increasingly, as the heists kind of mount up and as the pirate radio kind of comes into prominence, run first by the Carly Rae Jepsen commune, but then other groups, and kind of a global network of kind of free music radio stations, the rising public outcry and just like protests and riots and So we have like a global protest summer to the tunes of these liberated artists from boom boxes and drones and everything. As we go from the animated credits that have like the fancier font, and then they have the montages. We get the mid credits with Joe, and then we go to the full credits, and we are taken out finally to Cut to the Feeling, and that will be our game of Boy Problems. So nicely done, everybody. This game is very fun and silly, and y'all made it funner and sillier. And so that makes me very happy. I want to say shout out to the mods for being on top of all of the commands and everything. I want to remind folks that we are doing this game in support of Max Ottawa and TENT, which are wonderful charities. They can definitely put your money to good use. If you are in a position where you can give, or you maybe know some people who can give, I would invite you to do so. I imagine that people have maybe tapped their donation budgets in the past few weeks for a number of reasons. So I get that not everybody's in a position to donate. If you can share this stream, this will go onto YouTube pretty soon, so you can send people to that. We have other Bag of Giving games that are all already on ARV's YouTube. And if you donate this month, so before the end of May, every $5 Canadian or equivalent in whatever currency you are using that you donate, you can send a screenshot of that to Bag of Giving through the instructions at the website bagofgiving.com, and every $5 equivalent will give you an entry to the giveaways that were provided by Phoebe and by Preemie, which are each a short story critique or a critique of a short work of fiction. If you are a writer and looking for extra eyes on your work, this would be a great opportunity, and it will probably cost you way less than like a $200 bid in an auction, which I think would be not unreasonable for the level of help that you're being given here. So a $25 donation to Max Ottawa, for instance, would get you 5 very good chances to get that prize. So if you were a strategic sort, I would advise you to consider this option. And as a reminder, next week, May 27th through the 30th, is the 8th annual ARVCon, which is in support of the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. There's a whole calendar for this. I am going to run a game for some of the scientist fellows, which I did last year and was very fun. So we'll get to do another game, and that will be fun. And now I'm going to invite the players to remind everybody where folks can find them and their work as we get ready to wrap for the night. So Irene, if you want to tell folks where they can find you.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, everyone. This was so much fun. You can find me on Twitter at, well, my unprofessional account is Crowns and Birds, which is crowns and then letter N and then birds, the animal. But you can find my professional account at Irene Zhong Music. That's IRENEZHONG Music. And also I have a website at irenezong.com.
Excellent. Phoebe.
Thank you for watching and attending. I hope you really enjoyed everything. You can find me on Twitter at @Phoebe_Barton, or you can find my website at phoebebartonsf.com.
Excellent. Dave.
Likewise, my thanks to my fellow players and to you, Michael. This is a blast. I think the first time I've actually had to run a game for me, which was delightful. I do love the cinematic way. You can find me at www.butterymanvoice.com. Also follow my Instagram, butterymanvoice. If you need a vocal narrator for your books, stories, or videos, animations, movies, whatever, you can't do better than a buttery man voice.
And CJ.
You can find me on Twitter at Near Futures or on my website at cjlinton.com. And then for tabletop games, I am Near Futures on itch.
Excellent. I got the most recent game. Sorry, could you give me the name of that game? I don't want to get it wrong again.
Yeah, Tomorrow on Revelation 3, which was co-created with Dominique Dickey.
Yeah, so I got in on the Kickstarter of that. That book is, for being a pretty small book, it is packed with a bunch of stuff. And if you like sociological science fiction, you should check it out. So wanted to give the game the proper shout out. I am Michael R. Underwood. I am an author, podcaster, and publishing professional. I also co-host Speculate, which is another actual play show. That one we do more medium and longer run series. Currently we are playing Girl by Moonlight in a game called Fractal Spire. Girl by Moonlight is a game by Andrew Gillis, forthcoming from Evil Hat Productions. And on June 17th, we are kicking off our game of Court of Blades by using the world-building game Ex Novo. And then we're going to take the setting we build there into Court of Blades. And I'm very excited for that because I'm going to be the GM/dancing master for that. Fractal Spire is run by Brandon O'Brien, and you can listen to Speculate in podcast form at speculatesf.com. CJ, if you can put your itch address into the chat, I think folks will ask about it. But yeah, so that has been Bag of Giving Boy Problems. We are just barely after 10 p.m. I want to say huge thank you to my wonderful players for being versatile, incredibly creative, and delightful. The wonderful thing about the heist structure is that there's a lot of known and beloved beats and structures in heist as a genre, and so a lot of what we saw the players do was them just going, oh, this is the moment where we're going to have this type of a scene, and that makes GMing way easier. So good job to all of you, and I am going to take us out, and then Arv will be back very soon because Arv does many things, and I hope that y'all will come back for ArvCon this next weekend for all sorts of excitement. And I want to say again, thank you very much to the mod team for keeping the channel running and being Johnny on the spot with all of those commands. And thank you again to Arvin Elleron for sharing his platform with Bag of Giving so that we can play cool games to support great causes. And now I'm going to say goodbye, and we will see you another time. Bye.